Hello, folks, and welcome to episode 13 of the Counting Sheep podcast. My name is Ruth, and I will be your host today. This is my podcast about all things fibery that I get up to here on my farm in Vermont. I live here with my husband and my sheep, and chickens, and a dog, and a cat. So that's our family. And hopefully, you find something that resonates with you in this podcast. If you do, I'd love to hear about it. You can leave me a message down below, a little sentence or two about what's going on in your life or what you're working on. And also, if you would just push that like button, that is really helpful to us podcasters. And also, if you would like to come back and see more, hit the subscribe button so that you know when I put up a new episode, which is about every 2 weeks. So, welcome everybody. We're coming up on Thanksgiving holiday here in the States. That's next week. So I won't be podcasting that week. I'll be doing the following week. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. It's a time of giving gratitude and being mindful of all those things in our lives that we're grateful for. I'm grateful to all of you who have supported me since I started my podcast. I'm also grateful for the ability to make things with my hands. That is one skill that has stayed with me throughout my life. And it really has brought a lot of comfort in certain times, and also I've met a lot of good people through my crafting. So I'm sure, and I hope that that is the case with all of you. All right, so I am going to jump right in here. I've got a bunch of stuff to show you. The first thing, I always start off with crochet. And so I do have a couple of finished objects, and the first is my mitts. If you recall, I was lots of dog hair on these, but if you recall, I was just about to start these on the last podcast. I was looking for some warmer mitts, and these are done in a but a bulky weight yarn. But it's superwash merino. This is by Lavender Sheep, 4 ounces to 100 yards. It's superwash bulky in the dark roast colorway. And these are lovely. This is a pattern by Laurinda Reddig of Recrochetions. I'll put it on the screen. And they fit lovely, and they're very nice and warm, I have to say. I've had them on this past couple weeks. I literally got these done in a day. And my the librarian at the library that I volunteer at saw me making these, and she was instantly attracted to them. So I gave her the pattern, because the pattern is not available. I did try to contact Laurinda through Ravelry to see if she was going to release it or not, but she has not gotten back to me. I have since done some searches. There are a boatload of mitts, crocheted mitts on Ravelry of patterns, and some are free and some are not. So, but these are what they look like. And I just love the stitching on these, and also the colorway is really pretty. It's very autumnal, and like I said, they work up in a jiffy. And I love how there's a little bit of a coverage on the thumb too, because sometimes you don't get that with mitts. They kind of end it here and your thumb is like flapping around. So yeah, really nice if your hands are super cold, and also good for Vermont weather, which we're having quite some cool weather now, which is apropos for the season. So that's what's left of my ball of yarn. yeah, so this was a very easy, very satisfying make, and they'll get a lot of use. So that's the yarn, like I said, by Lavender Sheep, and that's my first finished object. All right, moving on to my second finished object. I think this will be the end of the pumpkin parade, but I needed to get one more in because I wanted to use up that fabulous yarn from my sunflower mittens, if you recall. I love this yarn. I love the colorway, and it made a beautiful pumpkin. This pattern is by Jessica Schloss, and it is the Sienna pumpkin. And like I said, I used leftover yarn from my sunflower mitts. It's a worsted weight yarn, and it's from Abstract Fiber, and the colorway is Warm, W-A-R-M. And so this is done with, I believe, an H hook, or a 5mm hook, and the stem is just a little piece of leather folded in half and then stitched on. So yeah, it really came out nice. I really love it. There was one more pumpkin pattern that I wanted to do, but I think I just said that's it. I'll save it for next year. But I have test crocheted for Jessica, and her patterns are very well written and very well illustrated. So if you want to go over and search her out on Ravelry, she has her pumpkin patterns, which are very cute and fun to make. Once again, you know, like made this in a half a day, so quite in there with instant gratification. So all right, so moving on to my whips, my works in progress. As you know, I've been participating along in the Crochet Along for Moorit Magazine, and I am making the Fealty Hap by Faye Dashper-Hughes, and it is from the latest issue of Moorit Magazine, which is the issue number 5. That's this one. And the theme here for all the items was Highland Retreat. So, and it's a beautiful publication. If you can get your hands on one, seriously, it's worth every penny that you pay for it, especially if you're an avid crocheter like I am. Always looking for all those unique and wonderful patterns that are coming out in droves right now for crocheters. I, like I said, am making the Fealty Hap, and I am using a 4.0mm hook, and I am using some soft cashmere, which I purchased in Italy, Venice, Italy, to be exact, from this store, Lellabella. And it's 100% cashmere. It's a, you know, a lace weight yarn, and it's approximately, I have 770 yards per 50 grams. So very fine, but I am so enjoying this. This is a lovely, lovely pattern by Faye Dashper-Hughes, and if you've done any of her other stuff, you'll know that she is the real deal, and she has wonderful patterns, and here it is. So I think the last time I was like only probably down here somewhere. So I've been taking this to waiting rooms and to places where I have to sit and just wait, or you have all those pockets in your day where it seems like you just can't sit there and stare at the wall, right? Us crocheters and knitters know all about that. So it does get a little bit creased when it goes back in the bag, but it's a beautiful gray color too. I love that, and it feels so lovely. This will not in any way, shape, or form be as big as the pattern dictates, but I plan on just going with it until I run out of yarn, and then I'm going to make some decisions about the border, what I'm going to use for the border. So, so it does get a border at the end, and so stay tuned for that. I'm going to keep plugging away on this one. Really, really enjoying this a lot. Like I said, issue 5 of Moorit Magazine, and it is the Fealty Hap. So let me put everything back where I found it, because I'm finding that's a good way to stay organized. Go figure. Yeah, so I think last time I had alluded to maybe perhaps diving into a pattern that I found from, I believe it was from, yeah, Lellabella. If you recall, I made her one of her sweaters during the summer. You'll probably see it hanging up there in the back. That sweater there. That is the Airy Fairy cardigan. And I love her patterns. They're great. And she just came out with a new one. This is called the Lola cardigan. And I already have the main color picked out. It's my own farm yarn. And this is done in a fingering weight yarn. I just need to kind of parse out what I want to do with the yoke here in terms of color choice. So I'm going to put that on hold for a bit until I can think through that, because sometimes color choices don't always come that easy to me. So I need to like let it percolate a little bit. Maybe you find that as well. And I also think I alluded the last time that I've had this massive stash airing where I just kind of pulled everything out, just in the interest of organizing and finding out what was what and where stuff was living in my house. Because I tend to start projects and then for some reason they just go by the wayside, and you know, I chalk it up to distraction. Easily distracted by pretty things like this, useful things like this. So but yet I love to make sweaters. But in my heart of hearts, I'm a sweater maker, and but sweaters take time, and we all know that. So what I thought, since I pulled out a lot of stuff during my stash airing and reorganization, and I found a crochet cardigan that I had started. It's a pattern by Sandra Gutierrez of Nomad Stitches. Once again, I'm a big fan. And I just decided that this is something I need to get done. And you may see that theme happening throughout the rest of the year and into next year, because there are a lot of projects that I have started and have they're now languishing. So it's time to pull them all out and start in a new year and get them all done. So, and that's not to say I won't have new things coming across the desk. I will, because that's just the way I am. And that's, kind of the way I roll. But anyway, let me stop jabbering on here. And I want to show you this cardigan. This is called the Kitzbuhel Cardigan. And Kitzbuhel is a town in Austria. It's in the Alps of Austria. And Sandra has done a lot of traveling in her life, and so a lot of her patterns are named after places she's been. And this is no exception. So I just want to fold this so that I can show you the cardigan without giving too much away. So this is her by the seaside in her Kitzbuhel cardigan. And you really can't tell all of the detail from that particular picture. But it is a standard mosaic crochet technique cardigan. So it is a colorway cardigan, which is what Sandra is known for. It uses fingering weight, and I have various colors of fingering weight, which is what it also calls for. But I want to show you first the main color that I have here. And this is from Earl Grey Fiber Company. I believe they're in England. And this is called Match a Sport. I figured I could get away with it a little bit using a sport weight yarn. And I have. I've been able to get gauge with this. The colorway is Bisque. It is a 3-ply 100% superwash merino. So this is I love this color. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So that's the main color. And like I said, I have a mishmash of different colors, mostly in the blue and green variety. But you're going to laugh when you see how far I've gotten with this cardigan, and then it went and languished for, I got to tell you, I started this in 2021 because I was smart enough to put a project page up on Ravelry for it. So here it is. Let me just slide back just a little bit here to show you. This is the front. I love me a cardigan. You guys know that. But here's the back. You can see more of the detail of the mosaic in the back. And I've said this before, Sandra's patterns are wonderful. She walks you through everything. And she's also available for questions. Gotta love the creases, right? But yeah, it's just a gorgeous cardigan, and I am going to finish this because, you know, why is it sitting in a bag, you know, not being loved, you know, when obviously there's a lot to love. So, yeah, and you know, there's no shame in admitting that it's been around for a while. I don't think so. I mean, we're makers, we're doers, there's life, you know, all those things. But here's the inside. You can see you only work one color per row. Anyway, so I fell in love with that once I pulled it out of wherever it was living. Can't even tell you. But yeah, it's great. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook. Yeah, and so I am going to press on with that, and you know, hopefully I'll show my progress soon. I can't wait. You know, the fit on her garments is so well thought out, and so you can't lose with one of her patterns. You just, you know, there's so much support, and you know, this thought that goes into it is incredible. So yay, Sandra, and I am going to get cracking on that. So that's it for crochet. I'm going to move on to knitting now, and here's a project we're all sick of hearing about. And but I have to say, I'm getting there. This is the infamous pressed flowers cardigan. This is by Amy Christophers, and I got a sleeve done. Yay, yay. And then this is my progress on the second sleeve. Sleeves can be a little daunting. I'm sure everybody has heard about Sleeve Island and how, you know, it's the last thing you have to do, and yet it takes the longest. I'm just letting the yarn speak for itself here. You know, nothing is symmetrical except for the back, you know, because the back is the back, but the front is, you know, all over the place, which I love. And now that I'm on this second sleeve, I can see it going a little bit faster for me. I was just working on it a few minutes ago. And yeah, I found a way to kind of do it so I don't have to keep twisting around the whole cardigan as I'm, you know, as I'm working. So anyway, yeah, and so here's the, you know, I did a cuff here, the ribbed cuff, and then I did a kind of Kitchener sewn bind off, which makes this nice and stretchy. Yeah, I love it. And, you know, once it's blocked and everything, it's just going to really shine. So yeah, that's the pressed flowers update. Can you believe I've been working on this since May? Yeah, since the start of my podcast, I've been doing this. Just so you know, the yarns, once again, I'm using the brown is my farm yarn here from Fergus, one of our Shetland weathers. And the colored yarn is from Feederbrook Farm, and it's called Entropy DK, and the colorway is Force. And I'm using size 5 and size 3 needles. The 3 needles are for the cuffs and the ribbing and button band eventually. This is going to need some really cool buttons. I'm sure I have plenty of those in my stash. So yeah, pressed flowers on the way, almost there. It's been a long ride. Yeah, so I wanted to show you something I just started last night in knitting, another pair of socks, because I got the crocheted socks done. There's always something percolating in my mind about doing socks for some reason. So I'm going to totally mess up the pronunciation on this, but I'm going to put it on the screen. The Suokatu Socks, and these are from the 52 Weeks of Socks book. Here is the book from Lina. You may be familiar with this. It was quite a hit when it came out, and now they have a second edition, a volume 2. This pattern is by Katrine Birkenwasser, and these are the socks. So as you can see, nicely textured socks. These are all done in twisted stitches, which I just came off of a very nice class on twisted stitches. I come back and yeah, now I'm enamored with twisted stitches. Excuse me. I can't speak. I'm doing these in the size 1. There's only 2 sizes to the pattern. And they are toe-up socks, which even makes my heart sing even more, because I like to use up as much of the yarn as I can when I'm making socks. And then if I have a little bit left over, it goes into one of my scrappy afghans. So like I said, I just started these last night. I have all of the toe increases done. And this yarn is by Dirtywater Dyeworks. And Stephanie, who's the dyer, lives in Boston. She's from Boston. And she does pretty much the circuit of sheep and wool festivals around the area. And I purchased this from her when I was at the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival back in October. So as you can see, it's kind of a neppy wool, which I just love. And so let me give you the specifics on this. It is an 85% superwash merino and a 15% Donegal nep. And that's how it looks in the ball. This is called the Dusk colorway. This is her Fleck base. So F-L-E-C-K, Fleck base. And like I said, from Dirtywater Dyeworks. And I wanted to mention too, if you can't get a hold of the 52 Weeks of Socks, or it's just not a doable option for you, this pattern is now available on Ravelry to purchase. So yeah, I'm just at the point where we're going to start the texture. And with twisted stitches, it's kind of nice because it's done in a technique where you don't really require a cable needle to switch the order of the stitches. So it's actually all done on the needles that you have. So, and I like to do my knitted socks 2 at a time because I just find that they're more uniform that way, and I don't get one sock that's bigger than the other, even though I take notes and I count rows and I keep track of it. Inevitably one sock comes out different from the other. So this kind of solves that problem. And it also, when you're done, you're done. You have 2 socks, right? And I don't mind that it takes longer. For God's sake, I'm a sweater knitter at heart. So, but yeah, this is a small project, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some more progress next time around. So yeah, but fun, you know. I have my eye out now for all of the Twisted Stitches patterns, and they seem to, hold on, okay, phone ringing. That was a nothing phone call. Anyway, so I just got done speaking about my Twisted Stitches socks. So I'm going to move right into what I did 2 weeks ago at Harrisville Designs, because I didn't speak about it the last time. I'm going to start off, since it's right on top, showing you the yarn I'm using. This is Harrisville's Highland, and this is their worsted weight yarn. It's 100 gram skein, and it has about 200 yards. And it's supposed to be done, you can use a 5 to 7 size needle. And the colorway is Jade. So I don't have a lot of things that are just in a green color, and so this is kind of nice for me to kind of go outside my color comfort zone. So yeah, there you go. There's the yarn I'm using. And then I want to show you that what we started off doing, well actually the class was very, it was very kind of relaxed in that you could do whatever you want. But I thought I'd start off making a hat because it would get me into the rhythm of the stitches and that sort of thing. And then of course I couldn't just do Donna's pattern, which I will show you in a minute here if I can find it. Her patterns are lovely too, very well written. But anyway, this is, and it's done in Harrisville Highland yarn. But I used her stitch count and everything once I figured out my gauge and this and that, because like I said, I didn't want to do a lot of math straight off. I just wanted to kind of get into the stitching. But I used different patterns than she did. So I'm just going to show you what I've done here. So you can see the Twisted Stitches pattern here. And the last time I podcast, I think I was down here. And like I say, you wouldn't have been able to see any detail at all. So I wanted to wait until I got a little further up. So as you can see the Twisted Stitches. Yeah. So very nice. Her particular pattern, this is another way I'm altering her pattern, is her pattern is basically kind of a beanie. And I'm gonna make mine into kind of a slouchy hat. So that's why I did a lot of ribbing in the beginning. And this is a twisted rib, and you're twisting or working through the back loop of the knit stitches here, and it's done in the round. And we've all agreed, and Donna has said, this particular type of knitting is best done in the round because you're actually manipulating the stitches every single round. So if you have to do that and figure out, you know, what you have to do on the return round, if you're working flat, it kind of turns into a mind, you know, a mind acrobatic feat, is what I'd like to say. So it's very easy to see what's going on when you have the front of the work in front of you all the time. So that's my Twisted Stitches hat that I've started. I'm going to try and get that done before I proceed on this other project that I started. In these classes, I kind of like to do my own thing, like design, because while you have Donna in front of you, you might as well use her lovely skills as much as you can. And I decided I wanted to do a vest, and so let's see if I can show you this vest without everything going kaflooey. But same yarn, you know, same colorway, because I thought, oh, you know, when you got something good, you might as well stick with it. And so here you can see some, I actually used a lace pattern here. This is part of the lace pattern. And then toward the back, this is the front. Toward the back, you can see kind of a tree pattern here. The branches going up this way. So yeah, real fun. It does have to be done on a pretty tight gauge so that you can actually see the stitches. The stitches kind of sit on top of the fabric, and so they also need to be kind of tight, you know, so that you get kind of a relief or an embossed effect. So yeah, highly recommend. Highly recommend any class you can take from Donna Kay. She is a wealth of information, and she has such a relaxed manner about her, and just really easy to learn from her. So yeah, hat vest coming up along with everything else I'm doing. But yeah, so that's it for knitting, and then I'm going to just review what I'm doing in spinning really quick. It's from Dirty Girl Fiber Yarns. She's a local dyer in southern Vermont. She doesn't name her colorways, so it's whatever you want it to be. This just reminds me of a deep forest pond. And I have been doing this on my Lendrum spinning wheel, and that's how it's looking. So kind of a comparison how it all goes. I'm very happy with it. It's got, you know, little segments of brown going through. You may not be able to see it on this particular sample, but this guy has a little bit of brown right there. So yeah, this is fun. I think I'm going to do a 2-ply yarn, so this is a single. So 2-ply is 2 of these plied together. And that should make some fun socks, I think. I'm a sock kick. I'm going with it, you know. And then finally, I have been also working on the Teeswater that I purchased at Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival, if you recall, in this really bright color. I believe she called it magenta. That's appropriate. And then I also have a bright blue, which is all spun up, and that's downstairs on my spool caddy. And this is the yarn that I'm making. I think I showed it the last time. It's kind of a, you know, barber pole, kind of rag wool, once again for socks. This is really good wearing fleece. Very, it's a joy to spin as well. And it's got a little bit of a luster to it as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And that fiber was from Windridge Farm. And there are her details. And that is Nancy I bought this from. Yeah, so very happy with that, with the spinning project. Spinning is such a nice soul-calming activity for me. Once you get going, it's hard to just kind of leave it go. And I don't even answer the phone when I'm spinning, so if you call during that time, you know what I'm doing. All right, I think that's all for the projects. Just some farm shenanigans. Ed and I finally were able to get all the sheep vaccinated. Now, this is something that normally I would have a vet do, and in the past I have. So that'll tell you this was my first time giving shots to my sheep. And it's not like I don't have any history of giving shots. I am a retired healthcare provider, and so I have done it so many times. I've started so many IVs in my life I can't even count. But there's something different about, let's just say there's way different. It's way different giving shots to sheep. And so Ed had to be the heavy and hold the sheep, which is a huge job in and of itself because they know what's going on. And so they're trying, fight or flight, trying to get away. And one of the shots that we give has to be subcutaneous, which is a fancy term for just under the skin, which requires you to tent up the skin and then inject the medicine, or it's actually a vaccine, and without, sticking yourself or your partner. The other shot, which is their rabies vaccination, is, I think, much easier. It's given in the butt, in a big muscle, and you just inject, just stick it in and inject, and boom, you're done. And then we also give them an oral wormer in the fall and in the spring, so we did that as well. So they were just so happy with us, you can imagine. But yeah, so that was an adventure. And like I said, normally the vet would come out and do it, but there has been such a veterinarian shortage. I think it's not just only New England, it's been everywhere. And so our particular vet, since they're so short-handed, decided not to do farm visits anymore. And so it's not such a hardship for me because I only have 4 sheep, and as long as I can get the vaccination doses, I can do it. I can have anxiety over it, but I can do it. But for these other sheep farmers around here who have several head of sheep, it's quite an undertaking. So, and they probably get quite good at it after a while. I'm just used to human skin. I'm not used to sheep skin, so so that's kind of my hang up. But once it was done, it was a relief, though. I'm glad they're all vaccinated. I'm glad they're wormed for the fall. And they're actually coming now, since we've had several hard frosts, our grass is dying, and so now they're on some really good second cut hay. And second cut hay is the second, like it said, the second cutting of hay in the season, and it tends to have more nutrients in it, and they are just chowing down on that. And there has been no belly aching this year with them coming in and off of the good stuff, which is the stuff you pull from the ground. So they're doing well on that. Usually if they have to come in from fresh grass and eat the hay in the fall, they'll let you know they're not happy. So, but they seem to be happy campers right now, especially since all their shots are done. So anyway, so that's our farm shenanigans for this episode. And that's gonna probably finish it off for me. I want to wish everybody in the States a happy Thanksgiving, and find some gratitude in your daily life, and it's good for the soul. So take care of yourself, keep crafting, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.